Hello everybody and welcome back to Home and Gaming's character presentation. It's not much of a walkthrough because there's just so many ways that I find you can actually build your character in Kingdoms of Amalur, but this is just how I built my characters. Previously I did the warrior and today I'm doing the rogue. So my weapons, I'm using Fey Blades right now, although I really want to get some daggers back. And a bow as a backup weapon. Normally I try to play like in Skyrim, I'll play a sneaky character who uses a bow, but in this game bows are primarily, in my opinion, backup weapons and shouldn't be made a main weapon. I'd imagine you could do it though if you expect a character to be an archer, but I didn't. I made mine as a melee character just because I found that daggers were more effective at my playstyle than bows. So this is the armor I'm wearing. I purchased most of it, although I did find some of it. It was expensive though, so I would actually recommend putting points into Mercantile, even though I didn't on this character. So for example, Prisoner daggers are about 300 grand, and I have almost no way of making that much because whenever I try to sell my junk, I just don't get much for it. It's not like I can go out and do a couple of side quests and come back with enough money like I did on my mage or my warrior and buy a 500 grand piece of equipment. As for my skills, I put points into my passive ability that lets me have more sneak attack damage, pretty much, more critical chance or critical damage. I can't quite remember which one it is. Frost Trap, which I use when I'm trying to escape, and I've kind of upgraded it. And another passive ability that lets me do more damage. Another passive ability, which actually gives me the potential to poison people with every hit. Which is actually very nice, especially considering I'm using melee abilities. And I upgraded it a little bit so I could have some poison resistance. I maxed out my main weapons, my bow, my Fey Blades, my daggers. And I continued upgrading through the tree of the bow skills, just so that I could have, for example, like when I shot one arrow, I could have like a whole spray shot kind of in Diablo 2 with a, okay, I can't remember what the skill's called in Diablo 2, but there's a skill for the Amazon in Diablo 2 that lets you, a multi-shot, I think it's called. And smoke bomb, so that if I get stuck somewhere or I'm taking a beating, I can just become invisible. I didn't get poison bomb though, because smoke bomb is like a last resort for me, and I almost never use it, so it just wasn't worth putting points into. And of course, I got advanced weaponry, just for the extra combos and whatnot. As for my actual skills, I maxed out stealth, with my ring, I maxed out stealth. And I'm putting points into lockpicking, even though lockpicking is kind of a useless skill. I just thought it would fit with the character class, although now I realize that those points would have been much more useful in Mercantile, and I also put points into detect hidden so that I could find hidden treasures. Along with which way enemies are facing, so it's easier just to plan a route when I'm trying to sneak through a dungeon or something. Along with some sagecraft, just so I could have some gems in my equipment, although that's still too low to actually put into good effect. As for combat, actually, the Feyblades have a huge swing arc, and so just by attacking, you're pretty much covered for most front angles. With the daggers, there's an ability you can use that will actually cause you to pretty much fly across the battlefield, and that can actually be used as a dodge if you time it properly. And so here, I tried to use combos as often as I could, although I'm not really familiar with combos. I only use that combo really, and the hold. This was smoke bomb actually, that lets you turn yourself invisible. Well, you don't turn invisible, you just become undetectable for 6 seconds. But that's always helpful. Lets you get around if you're fighting several Jotun and you only have daggers. Then you can sneak up on 2 or so, and if someone sees you, you can use smoke bomb and either run away or kill the last guy with smoke bomb. I've done it several times. Actually, where there's 4 or 5 Jotun, and I've killed 2 or 3 by sneaking up behind them and then one with a smoke bomb. And as for the bow, as I just demonstrated, it's really more of like a secondary weapon. It doesn't have much value to this character in particular as a main weapon. Although if I put points into actually making it a main weapon, I'd probably be able to have a much better weapon out of it. This was actually unplanned. I just randomly got this in loot, which is why I have that skill to detect hidden treasures, because that's good. That if I had Mercantile, that could bring me a pretty penny, but I don't. As I was mentioned earlier, the multi-shot, so that it's more of a crowd control weapon now, which is probably one of the reasons why it could be a main weapon if you made it into a main weapon, but as for me, I just didn't make it into a main weapon at all because I was doing more damage with the style I like to play as with my daggers and with my bow. You do not, I'm going to say that one more time for effect, you do not have to hold the bow, it just increases damage done. And thank you for watching.